Canada stops Sharia agenda. Islamist Caliphate plans exposed. Okay, so this is interesting, guys. This is not like, oh, we're gonna call these people an Islamist, blah blah blah. No, this is like these people themselves they're like full blown self-identified Islamists. So Hizb Tahrir's plans to host a secretive pro-caliphate conference in Ontario unraveled under intense scrutiny, exposing the group's radical agenda. The organization, which operates globally to push for an Islamic caliphate governed by Sharia law, has titled this year's event the Khilafah, eliminating the obstacles that are delaying its return. Promoting the caliphate as a solution to liberate Palestine and portraying the West as the enemies of Islam, the group's materials glorified past Islamic empires while stoking division. Following public outrage, Hizb Tahrir canceled the event, deleting its promotional content, scrubbing its social media, and retreating into damage control. Despite their denials, the group has been widely condemned for supporting banned organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah, with the Canadian Public Safety Minister David McGuinty highlighting their history of glorifying violence and promoting antisemitism, adding that their ideology is a direct affront to Canadian values. So this is rather interesting. So I don't know if people know who Hizb Tahrir is. My understanding about the origins of Hizb Tahrir is that they were a breakaway from the Muslim Brotherhood when the Muslim Brotherhood started to work with Arab secularists. So I think it was maybe in Egypt for some governmental purposes or whatever, political purposes, which means that these people are too Islamist for the Muslim Brotherhood. um, so this is very interesting because, Armin and I actually who have friends who were part of Hizb Tahrir. Probably one of the most famous former members of Hizb Tahrir is Majid Nawaz. And at some point, they were possibly one of the largest Islamist organizations in the world. And they still have, I don't know, reportedly millions of followers around the world. I don't know how popular they actually are. They are banned in countries like Pakistan, in Saudi Arabia. They are outlawed in Germany. They were outlawed in the UK last year, and we covered that. And after they were banned in the UK last year, the Canadian um the Canadian version of the organization actually canceled their event that they were supposed to have last year, I think to avoid the optics and the increased scrutiny that was coming from them being banned in the UK. Now, in the UK, they were banned, um, and the UK was known as like the European headquarters of HT, or we call it HT for short. But now they're not allowed to, operate there. There are people saying that they still operate there just under the guise of other Dawa organizations. And now in Canada, they were planning to have an annual conference, which was reportedly supposed to be free and open to the public. And they, very interestingly, again, they deleted a lot of their promotional materials for this event. But based on the reporting I was seeing from this, people were saying that in a lot of their promotional materials, they were using the imagery of Gaza and the grievance and the disenfranchisement of Canadian Muslims regarding the issue of Gaza and Palestine to try to recruit more people to come to the conference this year. Which is, I mean, a classic tactic for Islamists of all stripes and colors around the world. We talk a lot about how the Palestinian cause is part of the, Shia playbook a lot. And so I wanted to talk about some of the materials that they were promoting this year. Interestingly, they got everything canceled. They had different mayors of Mississauga and Ontario speaking out against this event. And there was too much, eyeballs on it. So it got canceled. But they still operate in Canada. And so because of this, there have been calls to make sure that it gets banned in Canada, which my understanding is that there is some like process and possibility for that to happen versus, HT actually operates in America as well. Apparently they have done conferences in Chicago. And I've heard from other professionals in this field that it would be actually much more difficult to get them banned in the US. But my understanding is that there is some possibility for them to do that in Canada. But Armin, I want to read for you part of a social media post that was made to promote this conference in 2025. And you are immediately going to sense some themes. You're going to identify some themes and patterns, okay? And I want you to explain to the audience what's going on here. You're going to immediately pick up on this. So here's a post they made. Every time they invade our lands, colonialist powers like America will show off their military technology, vast numbers, and giant economies. Each time they fought us, it seemed as if they could control the skies, strike from anywhere, destroy cities, and more. ... Yet, is America really so powerful that our Ummah can't defeat it? There have been superpower states in the past too, like the Romans and the Persians, yet they were defeated by the Ummah. Their great cities, like Constantinople, are now Muslim cities. So what happened? Did those old empires lose to the Ummah? The Ummah at that time had the support of Allah. Being the creator, no power on earth, including empires, can stand against the might of Allah. He allowed his slaves in the Khilafah Rashida to defeat two superpowers at the same time and with less wealth and smaller armies. So what must the Ummah do to get Allah's support once again? What steps do we need to become victorious against today's colonialist superpowers? We'll answer these questions and more at our upcoming Khilafah conference. Learn what it will take for our Ummah to overcome America, Europe, Russia, and China, and others from the position we're in today. If you want to help create real change in our Ummah, then get this critical knowledge by attending, inshallah.
Okay. So they are anti-colonialists who are saying, how can we go back to being the colonizers? That's the first thing I noticed, to be honest. Because they are saying they're at war with these colonialists, but this is pure hypocrisy, while at the same time acknowledging and celebrating the time that they were the colonialists and they want to go back to doing that, which is basically means it's wrong for America, for these Western powers to be the colonialists, but it was good for, and they actually don't see that as a hypocrisy. Like they were like, yes, that's what we're saying. But the difference is that we are right to do it because we have Allah on our side. Do you notice, like from the beginning to end, they're saying like, oh, what they are calling the Western powers evil for being the colonialists, they're not even colonialists at all right now, but let's say they are. But at the same time saying, what can we do for us to be doing that? I don't know if that's what you want to go for, but that was the first thing I noticed, because they're condemning colonialism as long as it's Western, at the same time celebrating it if it's Islamic. Did you notice that? Was that the first thing that came to your mind when you read that?
I didn't notice that, but that's not the first thing that came to my mind. The first thing that came to my mind is the theme of winning the favor of Allah and being outside the favor of Allah, and that's why we're not winning.
That's the first thing I actually wrote down, but the second thing got me so pissed off that I wanted to talk about that first. But basically, This is the so that we have a Shia narrative and we have a Sunni narrative, and the Shia narrative recently has gotten closer to the Sunni narrative, and the Sunni narrative sometimes gets closer to the Shia narrative. But the traditional Sunni narrative is that we were victorious. Originally, we managed to create the Islamic Empire because we were being closer to Allah, because we were living Islamic lives, right? So we have a philosophy. This is actually a huge infighting between Sunnis as well, right? There are some people who are called madkhalis who are like, oh, you don't actually bring back the Islamic Empire by winning in battle. Forget being political. We will bring back the ummah, our empire, by becoming more faithful people, and becoming better Muslims,
Yeah.
and just just obeying Allah, and Allah will see how good we are, and He will just give us the empire. And some Muslims hate that because they're like, this is basic. And Saudi Arabia, for example, loves that narrative because it will convince Muslims to just do nothing political and just go home and be proper Muslims, and just don't do terrorism, don't be political, just go home, be proper Muslims, and Allah will see that you have faith and will just make everything right. And there are other people from the other side that they think that no, we should actually be doing politicals. Hizb ut-Tahrir is like wants both. Hizb ut-Tahrir is like, we have to do these activities to bring these people down, but we will never be successful until we actually become proper Muslims, because the reason why we had an empire before is because we were closer to Allah. So we have to go back to our base, right? We're powerful because we are proper Muslims, which is weird, because if you actually look at the history of the Abbasid and Umayyad dynasties, it wasn't like that. Like throughout the history, it wasn't like everybody was a proper Muslim back then. It was a huge up and down, right? Like many of the caliphs didn't abide by Islam themselves. If you actually look at their history, some of them did, some of them didn't. So it's not like it was all the same. But the Shia narrative is the opposite. It used to be the opposite. The Shia narrative is God is with the people who are being oppressed, right? So Sunni narrative is because the earliest Islamic history, Sunnis were very powerful and the Shias were constantly being oppressed by the Sunnis. So the Sunnis came to the narrative that God is with those who are winning. But the Shia narrative is that God is with those who are actually losing, the ones who are being oppressed. Because all their imams were being poisoned and killed and everything. So they're like, we must be on the right side. Look how oppressed we are. And the Sunnis were like, we must be on the right side. Look at how much we're winning, right? So the Sunnis right now, for example, like Hizb ut-Tahrir being Sunni, they're like, oh, we're losing because God, we have become distant from God. Like we're not properly Islamic, right? And some Sunnis, for example, Daniel Hayraju types of the world, don't really like the emphasis on that because it seems to be used by people who call madkhalis or Zionist fake Muslims or Zionist Muslims who try to convince Muslims through religious arguments to not do political activity, right? That's what they say. That's not their narrative, not mine, right? And a few other things I noticed is that wanted to mention is, guys, Hizb ut-Tahrir is banned by in so many Islamic countries, right? So it's interesting how Canada got to the point, Western countries are banning Hizb ut-Tahrir after, like, Islamic countries consider these people to be too radical. They came to this conclusion before a country like Canada. I think they're already banned in Germany. Germany is very sensitive about Germany is very sensitive about anti-Semitism, and so these people were already banned there, right? But Canada, I mean, better late than never. But imagine this, like a group that Egypt or Pakistan considers too radical Islamically, and ban them. Canada only have gotten to the point where to do it right now. And
No,
also,
Canada hasn't even banned them yet. They're not banned.
Okay, yeah, they're
There's
talking
just
about
people
banning
putting
them.
pressure on it now because this kind of like raised the issue again.
Yeah, good point. This event that you're talking about, that you mentioned about what this was about, they're talking about bringing a caliphate. That's actively talking about toppling the regime. Like this isn't the event that you're talking about. Like if these people have events in Canada, in United States, or in UK, they're getting together as Canadian citizens, as American citizens, as UK citizens, coming with a plan to how to topple the regimes that they're in. And they don't, this is not something that they like are hiding. Like this is not
No.
something that they are secretly they tell you like, yeah, we are
Yeah,
basically
yeah, yeah.
trying to destroy this regime and make this part of the Islamic world, like the Canadian world. That's what they're saying. So is that not like, what is that not treason? Like what is that? Like I don't know, what is that called? Like legally, shouldn't that already be like already ban worthy? Like what is it? Why does it take only
I
to
don't know what kind of statute that is in Canada, to be honest. I'm not familiar with your,
I
free
mean,
expression
having an
laws.
institution to try to bring down the regime, like, why is that even a discussion? Like, that is treason. That should be illegal, right?
I don't know. In America, we
Um,
got lots of people talking about that. That's not illegal at all.
yeah. And regarding, by the way, guys, regarding free speech, because a lot of people are going to say, "What about free speech?" Right? And there's a right. I support what to ban this institution completely and shut them down and label them as a terrorist organization and seize all their funds and also consider any support for this organization to be like a criminal activity. I support all of
Yeah.
that, and I consider myself a free speech maximalist. And some people will say, "How could you be a free speech maximalist and also support banning this institution, shutting them down, seizing their assets? Does that not violate their free speech?" And there's two ways that people defend this, and there's a wrong way in my opinion, and there's a correct way. The wrong way that people defend this action is that people say, this is one area that I'm okay with limiting these people's free speech. I don't agree that that's not the right way of defending this. The right way is that free speech does not mean that you have the luxury, that you get the privilege of having an institution that is backed by the government and the structure and the legal structure of the government and the framework that the government provides for you to fund, organize. That is a privilege. That's not a right that the government gives you, for you to be able to take advantage of its infrastructure, of its legal system, of its charitable status, of its tax. Your institution being shut down is not a violation of your free speech. You raising money and support for terrorist activities and trying to topple the regime and anti-Semitic activity, if that entire infrastructure is taken away from you, your opinion and your expression of it as an individual has not been taken away from you. I think a lot of people who say like, yeah, free speech is good, but not for these people, and that's why I support this, they don't understand what free speech means. Free
Yeah.
speech does not mean that because you every opinion gets to enjoy every platform that this government, that this society has provided for people should be available to you. Free speech means that I'm not going to come and torture you because you have think in a way. I'm not going to come arrest you. I'm not going to come execute you. I'm not going to go send a mob against you. That's what free speech means. Everything else, that institution, that infrastructure, the funding ability, all of that is extra, and that's a privilege that you don't get to enjoy if you're trying to take down this entire framework that everyone is enjoying. That's how you defend these types of action, not to go against free speech or not to limit free speech for certain individuals, but to say this is not a violation of your free speech. Or if you say this is a violation of your free speech, you don't understand free speech. That's how I would defend it.
Yeah, I think one thing I think about a lot is that a lot of misunderstanding that people have is this idea that um all Islamism is violent Islamism. And so when they see people talking about like a caliphate or other things, like they have this totally misconstrued idea that there are moderate Islamists. Like the idea of a moderate Islamist, I've like literally seen that word used is insane to me. Because we are so, what's the word I'm looking for? We have become so used to people trying to explode us and attack us and terrorize us that if we see Muslims not promoting violence explicitly, we think that's a moderate. We think that they're a moderate just because they're not trying to attack people violently. Okay? That's the level that we're at. That's how low our expectations are. When really, there are many, many, many groups, many ideologies that are Islamist that promote political Islam. They just do not promote it through violent means explicitly. And Hizb Tahrir is one of those organizations where they publicly disavow violence and the use of violence and material means to establish a caliphate. However, they do validate jihad as bringing Islam's message to the world, and they have praised and celebrated and endorsed suicide bombings or attacks on US forces. So a lot of politicians make the mistake that they think just because a Muslim leader isn't calling for violence, they think that they're actually a moderate and they think that they're actually one of the good ones. And they don't know about like everything else underneath. And this is why we constantly deal with scenarios where what almost happened at the inauguration, where there are imams that are invited to give a benediction or give a prayer to like represent the Muslim community. And then it's exposed that this imam has like endorsed all these really violent things or endorsed terrorist groups or endorsed all this other stuff. They're like, why can't we find an imam that doesn't praise Hezbollah? What's going on here? Like, well, duh. So I just think that that's like important to highlight. Is a lot of people make this mistake that they're like, oh, nonviolent, they must be moderate, blah blah blah.
And they make that mistake only when it comes to Islam, because based on that standard, then there is no there's like the people that they call extremist Christian groups, or extremist Jewish groups. Many of those groups would not be extremists at all, based on if they use the way that they categorize what they call an Islamic extremist group, right? So they're like, oh, this Islamic group is not extremist because it's not doing any violence, but if you find a Christian group or a Jewish group that was saying had the exact same position, they would definitely label it as an extremist group, even without the violence. So it's a double standard when it comes to Christian groups or Jewish groups relevant to Islamic groups.
Well, I mean, it's double standard. It's also like I think it speaks to how low expectations are, and also how bad our experience has been as a society, that like is genuinely like what we expect. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You have a video was that relevant to the story?
Yeah. So let's go through the comments that our lovely editor D found. No, let's go through the comments, and then one of the things that she found was this video, and then so this is I don't know if Goldie Gamari is a current MP or not, but she was like commenting on this. I mean, like, this can't be real. Is this true? Yes. Well, I got shut down, which is good, but yeah, that's a real thing. And okay. So the Global Imams Council, the GIC, has submitted an urgent letter to Public Safety Canada calling for the prevention of the upcoming Khilafah conference organized by the extremist group Hizb Tahrir. So, okay, great. This is a local imam organization calling them out, asking them to be prevented. So that's nice. And then I think that, yeah. So the next one is this video. So,
the Muslim.
whoops.
Hold on. I'll unmute. Oh, you can unmute it. Okay, great. You have that control now. Okay,
Yeah.
so you do it.
So
go ahead.
this guy is basically the face of Hizb ut-Tahrir in Canada. We don't have to watch this whole thing, but I just thought that this is kind of some interesting. Just you'll notice some themes that Armin and I were talking about that become very obvious when he talks.
After Bismillah, this is a call to the armies of the Muslim lands. We know with almost 100% certainty that within the ranks of the armies right now, throughout the Muslim lands, there is unseen frustration and struggle to maintain order within the ranks, unlike anything that we've ever seen before. You within the ranks of the armies in the Muslim lands know how much this is happening. We all know how much you're struggling with the fact that you're sitting there, unable to move forward and liberate the Muslims of Palestine. We know how angry you are at the fact that the governments of the Muslim lands are holding you back and disallowing you from protecting your Muslim brothers. You know as well as we do the ayah in the Quran where Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَإِنِ اسْتَنْصَرُوكُمْ فِي الدِّينِ فَعَلَيْكُمُ النَّصْرُ. If they call out for you for help, for military assistance, then you must go give them military assistance. This is your
Wait. Before we play the rest, do you understand why Hizb ut-Tahrir now is banned in Islamic
I was
countries?
about to say that.
Okay.
I wonder why they're banned in Saudi.
Yeah. And remember, these Islamic countries, their governments, they have no chill. This is not like Western countries. They don't play. They will torture you. Okay, like this guy is calling for armed forces of Islamic countries to turn against their own government because their government is not allowing them to be just genuine terrorists.
An insurgency. Okay, a mutiny. Okay.
Yeah. Wow, this is why these people are banned in Islamic countries.
Yeah. Why does HT hate Saudi so much? I wonder.
Yeah. No, the question is like, this is why Saudis and Pakistanis and Egyptian governments hate that Hizb ut-Tahrir so much. Yeah, but let's continue.
Dini fa'alaykum al-nasr. If they call out for you for help, for military assistance, then you must go give them military assistance. This is your chance to become the Ansar of this age. This is your chance to gain the honor and the dignity of being the liberators of the land of Al-Aqsa and to defend the blood of your Muslims. This is the struggle that will change all other struggles, that will define all other struggles. I call upon all the Muslims in the armies in the Muslim lands to break free of the shackles that are holding you back from assisting your Muslim brothers and sisters and coming to the call of your Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Okay, another reason why it might make it easy for Western countries to ban these mofos is because there would be Muslim countries that will give you the non-Islamophobia card if you need it. You know what I mean? Like you will have, because the leaders of Islamic countries are like, holy, this man is going and encouraging our armed forces to turn against us. And maybe if you're Canada or the UK, like, should I consider these people terrorists? Is that Islamophobic? And Saudi Arabia and Malaysia and Indonesia and Pakistan and Egypt will come like, no, it's not. We will tell the world you're not being Islamophobic. Please ban these people. So that's one reason why it makes it easier for these people to ban, for Western countries to ban them. Okay,
this is the time to break away from the ranks. This is the time to rebel against your leaders. This is the time to overthrow your government. This is the time to bring about change, the change that everyone is dying for.
This is the time to overthrow your governments.
Wow, this is just like they're not even like, this is the time to overthrow your government. Like there's no attempt at hiding. Yeah, this is how you get banned.
And this is why I appreciate the honesty. He's not lying. He's not using wordplay. He just comes out and say it. Yeah. He just comes out and say it. Okay. Yeah.
When the Muslims are calling out, free Palestine in the streets, they're not talking to the West. The West is not going to free Palestine. Egypt is not going to free Palestine. Jordan is not going to free Palestine. Erdogan is not going to free Palestine. Mohammed bin Salman is not going to free Palestine. None of these traitors.
Wait. Hold on. Jordan, you ungrateful. Okay, you know why Jordan is not going to free Palestine? Because Jordan regrets the day that it started helping Palestinians. I think there's more anti-Palestinian hate in Jordan, Lebanon, and many other countries than maybe sometimes maybe even more than in Israel, right? Yeah. I don't know, because I mean Jordan. Okay, so here's the thing: Jordan is a country who, when Palestinians were struggling, opened its doors to the Palestinians, and they came to there, and instead of being grateful to the country, they were like, "What if we topple this regime?" And Jordan were like, "What the hell? I just gave you people a place to live and to come while you figure out how you could take back your land, and now you're trying to topple me." So Jordan was like, "You know what? F you guys. I am going to secretly be on Israel's side." So I wonder why Jordan is not supporting Palestinians. Maybe because they have a very bad experience with that. I mean, everywhere. Like, okay, I don't want to generalize Palestinians. Okay, there, Zaid is in the chat. He's a Palestinian. We love Zaid. He's a Zionist Palestinian. That's why we love him. But throughout history, there are very few people who decided to go out support Palestinians and did not end up regretting it. Right? That's why all these Islamic governments are like, yeah, no, we're not going to go there anymore because they were ungrateful and they turned on them eventually. But
Meanwhile, Trump is asking them to go take in the Palestinians. Did you see that? And I was like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, my boy, you don't know the history. That ain't gonna happen. Why do you think they haven't done it so far?"
I don't know. Maybe actually we could talk about that because they didn't have international support, and Trump might change that. Trump did you see Trump just came out and said like Jordan and Egypt should just take in the Palestinians.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So, and Israel should just take over Gaza. It's just like, it's a very good. Like he keeps talking about how good land Gaza is. Anyways, that's another stream. We should talk about that.
He is a real estate mogul.
Like, I mean, technically, it is amazing land. Gaza is like beachfront property. It's like if it wasn't the nightmare that it is right now, this would be a very good place to build a city on. But anyways, let's continue.
Not going to free Palestine. Erdogan is not going to free Palestine. Mohammed bin Salman is not going to free Palestine. None of these traitors, these sellouts who have sat there watching their Muslim brothers.
Yeah, the sellouts. These sellouts who are thinking more about their own country and what's better for their own citizens, as the regime of every country should be doing, rather than defending a hopeless battle that you will never see victory, and just sending their resources of their own people towards an unwinnable war. Sure, yeah, these are the traitors. Okay.
Not going to free Palestine. Erdogan is not going to free Palestine. Mohammed bin Salman is not going to free Palestine. None of these traitors, these sellouts who have sat there watching their Muslim brothers and sisters and the children die in the thousands, and they're doing absolutely nothing about it. None of them are going to come and free Palestine. But you will. The Muslim Ummah will. The people who are going to free and liberate Palestine will be the sincere Muslims of this Ummah, and they will be given the honor in the dunya and in the akhirah for playing a role in this. You have an opportunity of
dunya. The dunya means this world, akhirah means the afterlife. So the honor of dunya and akhirah, guys, really important for you guys to understand dunya and akhirah, because that's that concept makes Islam a death cult. That's the reason why Islam is a death cult. So remember, dunya is this world life, means the world. Akhirah is the afterlife.
Will be the sincere Muslims of this ummah, and they will be given the honor in the dunya and in the akhirah for playing a role in this. You have an opportunity of a lifetime. It is time that we understand that the people of Palestine have no one else other than you, the military of the Muslims. Allah Azza wa Jal is not going to bring a miracle out of the sky to liberate Palestine. Allah Azza wa Jal is teaching us that we have to do it ourselves, and nobody is going to come and help Palestine. Nobody except for you. And I call on all Muslims who have watched this video to make a video just like it. It doesn't matter if you're not articulate. It doesn't matter if you don't know what to say. It doesn't matter if you've never made a video before. Make a video saying the same thing. Let the armies of the Muslim lands know we all stand with the armies of the Ummah. We all stand with the people of Palestine.
I mean, you tried that. The armies of 6 countries at the same time attacked Israel when Israel was significantly weaker than it is today. And Israel, with a smaller army back then, humiliated all the armies of 6 nations at the same freaking time. Twice. Actually, no, 3 times. 3 times. And one of them being at the time that it was 1 day old. 1 day old. And then humiliated all your armies at the same time. So
dude,
what if you fail? Is this
Talk
not
about a blow to
insanity,
your
guys? You
pride and
tried
your
it.
honor.
Yes, you tried, you failed, you tried, you failed, you tried, you failed. If you try again, you're going to fail again, especially because relative to then, you're weaker to Israel's army now. I mean, if Israel even back then even didn't enjoy as much support as it enjoys now, its army wasn't as advanced as guys. The previous times when you attacked Israel, do you know? Even though Israel won, you managed to hit. Cause a lot more damage to Israel, much more significant. Like these days, people are like, "Oh my God, another Israeli soldiers died." Back then, when you attack Israel, you took down so many of their planes. You took down so many of their their pilots. You know, their best pilots. These days, you can't even take a picture, guys. Show me when Israel comes with their planes and bombs whatever it needs to bomb. You even you not only you can't hit it with a missile. You don't even have a single picture of it. You can't even see the damn thing. You used to be able to take them down. So if you failed back then when you were stronger, what makes you think that now? So these armies united, you have already had that. You had that. Maybe the reason why they're not trying it anymore because they know that they understand their place. They know that that cannot be done. It cannot be done. And you're not fighting Israel. If you even get close to taking down Israel, the entire liberal world would unite against you. You back then you couldn't even defeat Israel. Now, if you want to defeat Israel, you're standing up against the entire liberal world order,
No, but
including the world superpower.
This is actually an important point. This is why they say that they need a caliphate, because they do not have the favor of Allah, because they do not have a caliphate. They are not following the Sharia. That's why they say they need it. That's the whole point. That's why they're so hard on why they're so focused on the fiqh, the Sharia before anything else. Because they need back the favor of Allah.
You're right. Actually, I completely endorse this mission. You're completely right. So forget this nonsense. Go home and pray harder. Okay? Pray so hard until you become proper Muslims and God will give you
but that's not
superpowers.
enough. That's not enough for them. They need, especially for a HT, they need the caliphate, they need the fiqh, they need the Sharia, they need the implementation. It's it's not enough for them to have Aqidah. Right. Like they were so focused on the law, like that having a caliphate will solve all their problems.
Yeah, so this shows so guys, the reason, for example, if you're a UK citizen, if you see why these people are so hell bent to have their own parallel legal system and to have these Sharia councils, which are actually courts, but we're
going to talk about that actually today.
Yeah. So this is the reason why they want to establish Sharia law in Canada or in the UK at some point, is because they think if they do that, God will eventually make them powerful, right? So that's why you see them so insistent, because they have to live according to the Sharia. And by the way, Sharia is not just law, it's just everything, right? So I don't know, how you wipe your ass is also considered to be part of Sharia. It's basically how you do everything, including the law. So they have to abide by Sharia, and if they do that, and they try to expand Sharia compliant lands, then God will see favor to them and make them powerful. That's their plan. So, yeah, I mean, it's a dumb plan, but it's really devastating to countries like the UK. But it is a plan. Because it is a plan. Yeah. Anyways, let's finish this. This is actually very insightful, so thank you for this video.
Call everybody to start a campaign to make videos where we call the armies of the Muslim lands to do something. This is what we must do. Going out into the streets and calling out to who are we even calling out to? We're not calling out to anybody. We're just calling out. So why don't we do something practical? Why don't we do something real? Make videos where we speak to the armies of the Muslim lands, because who are the members of these armies? The members of these armies are our brothers and our uncles and our fathers and our family. These are Muslims who are from us, of us. Once these armies break free of these shackles, then change will happen. Only through this will change happen. We must unite the armies of the Muslim lands under a single Khalifa that will implement Islam and earn the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal, and the victory of Allah Azza wa Jal will come through this. If we seek it.
Is that not literally what I just said?
That's literally what you just said.
through any other way, through nationalistic solutions, or UN resolutions, or international law, or begging the West for scraps of mercy, or begging the Arab tyrants and enemies of Allah for scraps of mercy, which they will never give us, then we're simply waiting for nothing. Only through the Khilafah will Allah Azza wa Jal save us. Make the video now. And again, to the armies of the Muslim lands, be the Ansar of this age.
I am inviting my Muslim brothers to make videos about this so they too can end up banned from the UAE. Go try this in the Emirates. It's not going to go over well.
I mean, technically, this is not that bad if he wants to, because what do you think is going to happen? First of all, like, if let's say you're an Egyptian soldier and you watch this, right? And they're like, okay, I'm convinced. What are you going to do? You're going to take your, I don't know, AK-47 and do what? Your commander is not going to agree with this, right? Your general is like you are what, like, you don't have the info. Even if you want to go do this, you're going to leave the army and then your income is going to be cut. You can't feed your family. Where is the infrastructure? Where is the institution or infrastructure in place for you to come join? You as an individual, the only power you have is because you're part of a standing army, and that standing army is not going to come join you because the commanders you have, like the individual soldiers agreeing with you, it's not going to change anything.
But
it's the generals yeah, how are you going to do that? Like, if you're going to start a coup, that like they're not just going to leave the country and try to come and liberate Palestine without, like, if the rest of the country is going to say, like, yeah, you can't do that. You first have to do a coup. And if you want to do a coup, you're going to be crushed. Right? You're going to be crushed. Like, so how is that even, like, this plan seems insane. Like, it doesn't work. But actually, this plan might actually work in our favor. Because if people actually listen to him, because the soldiers are not going to listen to him. And even if they do, they're not going to be able to do anything because the army of the country is not going to come follow them. Right. And they're going to be shut down. Like, they're going to be, again, those armies are like in Egypt. There's people in Turkey and in Egypt. The government there has no chill. If you see a soldier saying, like, yeah, I disagree, I'm going to pick my gun and go do something that the regime does not agree with, you're going to be immediately eliminated. But, like, it's not like a liberal country. They're going to fucking destroy you and maybe your family. Like, I don't know what they're going to do. Right. But it's not like that. You cannot. But these videos, however, if they get circulated on social media, they might actually serve us as a tool to warn the world, like, look at what the hell these people stand for. So I don't know, maybe this guy's video, if people actually do, the soldiers are not going to listen to him, but social media might listen to him and make a lot of these videos, and that would actually serve our purpose.
Yeah. Well, and this is why we say that they do our work for us, Armin. Yeah, they do our work for us. Right. All we have to do is go show you guys. This is like when the fires in LA were, like, at their worst, and social media was filled with people, Muslims, praising it and celebrating it and saying free Palestine. This isn't as bad as Gaza, blah blah blah. In the thousands, all across TikTok, all across Instagram, to the point that people are like, you guys do more bad PR for yourselves than an Islamophobe could ever do. Are you fucking kidding me? Do you know how you look right now? Like,
the only downside to this is that we can't, like, it makes it difficult for us here to make jokes about raising the Atheist Republic Army, because given that people are actually on social media genuinely are trying to raise a real army for their caliphate, then social media might become sensitive about that, and we cannot joke about that anymore. Okay. We have to be careful. For YouTube, when we were talking about raising an Atheist Republic Army, those were jokes. We were not serious about that. Okay, that's not real. Okay, so we were even trying to use, like, maybe shifting our memberships into, like, army names, like, for example, the Lord here to be like a foot soldier, and then have, like, a general at the Atheist Republic Army. And then we realized, look, some people are not going to see that as a joke. So we're basically like, nope, we're not going to do that.
We memed a little too close to the sun.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's fine.
So let's go to the super chats. So we should go through these because you're already an hour in and we got a lot of stuff to go through.
Yeah, and we
So
got so many super chats, guys. Thank
I
you so
know.
much.
Thank you so much. So Aaron
Yeah.
just gave a super chat saying love from Israel. Well, thank you, my friend.
Ah.
Love back to you. Also from Israel, Gingazaurus gave us some shekels and a super sticker. Thank you so much, my friend.
Yeah, thank you.
Valerie has a question for me. Thank you for the super chat and supporting the show. Saying question for Susanna. Oh, and also Valerie is a member. Awesome. Is there an Antifa version of Taqiyya infiltrating to leak, or are they like vegans and never shut up about it? Okay, so first thing, and I'll keep this brief for people that don't know, like I was in Antifa. So basically, Antifa is not a centralized thing. Antifa is hardly a consistent ideology. In some senses, Antifa could more accurately be described as a tactic. There is more consistency with philosophy like anarchism, for example. In my time involved in these groups, there is extreme diversity between opinions. There's an insane amount of disagreement between groups and different individuals, partially because everyone is just extremely dysfunctional individuals with their personality disorders on full display. But so there is not a doctrine, there is not a single ideology, there's not a singular scripture or text. It's all very diffuse and purposefully decentralized. So no, there is no Antifa version of Taqiyya. Maybe if you were part of one specific group that maybe had an anarchist ideology of its own sense and you were operating within a specific cell within this group, then they might have their own specific ideology, they might have their own specific tactics, they might have their own specific operations to do infiltration, but that would be particular to that group. So no, to answer your question, no. Yeah, like I'm thinking of something like the Weather Underground, you know, like that was a specific group that undertook terrorism, you know what I mean? And they had crossover and overarching other beliefs. Yeah, so I hope that answered your question. I'm not sure if I was clear. Enye gave a bunch of Swedish krona. Thank you so much. How generous. Saying Iranian and Jewish couple hanging out here. Oh, hello, my friends. We love you youngsters.
Hello.
Amazing work. Thank you. Thank you for supporting the show.
Yes.
And Gasian American gave a super chat saying the Ummah drapes Chinese silk on their Kaaba. They are addicted to chai and soccer, invented by the Yellow Emperor commemorating his victory over Qiyu. I mean, well, thank you for pointing this out, Gasian, and I hope that our brothers and sisters in the Ummah, you know, find themselves upon the right path once more. Because this is,
this reminds me, did you hear Saudi Arabia is coming up with a new national anthem and they're hiring Hans Zimmer to make it for them?
Really?
Yeah, and people are like, how is your national anthem not being made by Saudi?
Yeah.
Like your national anthem is going to be made by you guys. Like the Saudis are so Westernized, like they're so they're so Western. Like people are be like, oh, this shows how Western these people are. That not even in their own national anthem is going to be made by somebody. And this so the people who are defending it is like, yeah, the Saudis just want the best of the best of the best. I don't care.
I was gonna say.
But they go, yeah.
Apparently, the current national anthem was written by an Egyptian composer at the request of the king.
Oh, yeah. So now it's leaving the Ummah as a whole, going to Americans.
Okay, so Gasian gave another super chat. Also, Happy New Year. Is it already Chinese New Year?
It wasn't it?
Oh, no, it almost is. Okay, cool. I have time to go to some festivals. Cajun is saying also Happy New Year. It's been 4,723 years since Noah stepped up her God to see mended heaven and ended the great flood after, okay, how do I pronounce this? Yalal's genocide hissy fit. Well, that sounds like something worth celebrating to me. Also, I need to go find where I can go watch a lion dance, okay, in my city. Mithras gifted 5 Atheist Republic memberships. Thank you so much, Mithras.
Yay.
Which is a great reminder to support the show by becoming a member. Do that by hitting the join button down below. You get members only content. You support our work. Make sure we can continue, and you get emojis.
No, I and also if you just got to get membership gift, go check out the member only streams and video that I make, because only our members have access to that. So go check them out before you lose your, because I think you have these gifts for 1 month. So go watch those.
Asian American is asking for our thoughts on the Yahtzee. Okay, that's the word we use. The Yahtzee hand gesture of Elon and the mass migrations of Americans to the Little Red Book, meaning like the Chinese Red Note app. They're typing 666 because it means thumbs up in Chinese slang. I didn't know that, but I like that. 666. It's not demonic. It's just thumbs up. Chinese thumbs up. Thoughts on the Nazi hand gesture? I don't think Elon was doing a Nazi salute. I think that's insane. And the immigration of Americans to the Red Note app. So far the content that I've seen seems pretty like adorable and cute. Like I love the cross-cultural exchange. It seems pretty wholesome in a lot of ways. I don't know if it will last. But the funniest thing to me was Americans talking about, like, look at their grocery prices that they're showing in this video. Look, they don't want us to download this app because they don't want us to see how much better life is, blah, blah, blah. Like in China, you can buy 7 pounds of corn for 69 cents. And here I buy 2 pounds for $7.99, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, are you guys even, they don't know what purchasing power is. They don't know what purchasing power is. Oh my God. So it's just, look, those are those kind of people, like they just deserve to be propagandized too. It's okay. Yeah, those are my very loose and not very serious thoughts. What do you think, Armin?
Well, I don't know what's in people's minds when they do something, but it's very unlikely that Elon is a Nazi, given his record, given how much he went to war with MAGA over allowing Indians to come to the country.
It's because they are the true Aryans.
Oh yeah, okay.
See,
So,
you don't see
like,
3 steps ahead like I do.
yeah, okay.
No, but seriously,
Sorry.
if Elon is a Nazi, then I guess nowadays Nazis go support Israeli kidnapping victims. They go meet with Netanyahu, and nowadays Nazis go visit the Auschwitz Memorial well with Orthodox Jews. If that's what if that's what Nazis do nowadays, they're looking pretty different. That's all I'm saying.
Don't say what I know you're joking, but somebody might cut that part out and make it seem like you're saying something else. So don't finish that.
But I mean, come on.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Steve just gave a $1 super chat with no comment. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Bar Musto gave a super chat saying also they did the same thing in Kuwait. I'm not 100% sure what you're talking about, Bar. Thank you for celebrating your membership. I think you're talking about Palestinians.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
I think that's what you were talking about. Or what you were referencing. Asian American gave another super chat and saying maybe the Palestinians can earn income living off UBI generated from the rents of beachfront property, a 40-60 split. Who's
Yeah,
gonna
you're
have the
thinking-
beachfront property?
No, this is like you're thinking years. Like I think
Yeah.
this is a joke because we're
It's clearly
we're
a
way
joke.
behind even thinking about such things for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Aiden gave a super chat celebrating his member. Thank you. Oh, talking about the HT guy. He could have grown his hair and shaved his beard. I mean, his appearance is irrelevant. His appearance is completely irrelevant. I could care less.
Grown his shave his
Like,
beard.
who cares if he's bald? Like, come on.
I was thinking the opposite. I was thinking like, shouldn't he grow out his beard if given the people he's trying to appeal to a little bit more? But yeah. So the appearance could be relevant Islamically. He didn't
And
look
Kenny
very Islamic.
also gifted 10 Atheist Republic memberships. Thank you so much, Kenny. Oh, and I hope you're feeling better, Kenny. He was sick. Gajan, this super chat actually made me laugh so hard. The Caliphate has lost the mandate of heaven.
That's a good one. No, that's actually literally it. That's literally what they think, but they don't phrase it like that. But you're right. Do you know who makes the most amazing, gorgeous, and other adjectives that I can't use here on YouTube, blasphemous art ever? We do. And for some reason, we are giving it away for free. Download them now using the link in the description before we change our mind.